Washington, D.C., June 1942. After Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, the US is now at war with the Axis powers. The Battle of Midway against the Japanese is being fought in the Pacific, while in the Atlantic, the battle against German U-boats continues along the American East Coast. It's not long before the US Air Force heads to Britain to support its ally.
Britain had been kind of standing alone for many months and had endured the Battle of Britain and the Blitz. So when things began to change in 1941 with the Soviet Union and also America coming into the war, then I think the British people generally were heartened by that there was support for them.
The young men who arrive have an electric effect on the local population, especially the ladies.
When we first met them, we thought they were rather brash, cheeky, because they were entirely different from the English boys being rather quiet, American boys being rather outspoken. The majority of them were quite fun. I did get engaged to my husband, naturally, and married him. But when we first met, I really didn't like him.
I'm sure we made an impression. Being a flyer during World War II was a little bit different. We were the so-called glamour boys.
The American invasion of Great Britain, I think, was probably welcomed by many women. So these American servicemen embodied the glamour of the Hollywood star.
There are very mixed reactions, I think. Of course, there's relief that we have a powerful ally. There's a lot of curiosity about the Americans. There's excitement and, to some extent, jealousy about the fact they have money, they have chocolates, they have chewing gum, they have jazz, and so on. There's certainly jealousy.
Their uniforms were much smarter than ours. They had much more money. The girls were much more interested in the Americans than they were in us. And when the Americans had a dance, they'd send lorries in to take these women. And the town was virtually denuded. We hated that, because all these wretched women had gone off to join America.
The American uniform at its best is very smart. My brother and one or two of the other men felt a bit, their noses were pushed out of joint because of all the attention that these Americans were getting, you know.
But as charming as they are, the Americans have a darker side. And it's not welcomed by the locals.
Also seems to be dislike of the fact that the American army is racially segregated. It seems the British public didn't like that at all.
The authorities were very concerned about kind of racial segregation and whether they didn't want to offend the American authorities, and so were keen to treat black GIs very carefully. So there were concerns about white British women dancing with black GIs, for example, and that could lead to tension.
But the British people refuse to accept public segregation, and black soldiers are, on the whole, welcomed. This spark of light abroad helps inspire the black GIs to join the civil rights movement when they return home. While the American Air Force is greatly appreciated by the British, when it comes to planning a bombing strategy, they reject RAF tactics.
And the interesting thing with the Americans is a very different concept. The American conviction was more, you know, we attack during daylight, we can do precision bombing, and we attack the key industry.
We had enormous respect for the American Air Force. We thought what they were doing was far more dangerous than what we were doing. Their attitude was to fly very close formations and operate in daylight. From their point of view, they were more accurate, they felt, because in daylight they could see the target and so forth. From our point of view, the casualty rate would be far greater than what we could have afforded.
But American commitment to precision bombing of specific targets doesn't last long.
The RAF had started the war thinking they could bomb precision targets and had found that they couldn't, and therefore they'd started bombing cities. Okay, later on, the Americans start off with the same belief that they, the Americans, will hit precision targets, and then they find they can't. So in effect, they start area bombing in the same way that the RAF had.
With the Americans now pursuing area bombing, the Third Reich faces around-the-clock attacks on its cities.
This changed very much the air war over Germany because the British were attacking in the night and now the Americans came during daylight. So it's all around the whole day attacking, and the Germans have to build up not only a night air defense but also a day air defense against the Americans.
By 1943, an enormous 40% of German war spending has to be committed solely to air raid defence. Valuable resources are taken away from the Eastern Front,